Today, I'm really excited to welcome Abigail with us today. She is a social media expert from createandcollab.com. And I met her because she's been helping Kathleen, one of the other authors that I work with, and that's a member of this group. And I've been so impressed with what I'm seeing and what she's been doing that I asked her if she would be willing to share and come and speak to our group. So welcome, Abigail. Please go ahead and introduce yourself, and I'll stop sharing and allow you to also share as you want to as you move forward. Welcome. We're so happy that you're here with us.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to be on here. I'm really excited to talk social media. I've done a few classes before, and it's always a lot of fun because there's always a lot of ideas that you come up with, and so many different questions. You know, I did a class once in person, and one of the first questions I had from someone who came to the class was, if I don't want to do social media, do I have to do it? I was like, no, like you don't even have to be here. It's totally up to you. And so I kind of want to open it up with that because that's a really good point, because a lot of the time, I'll be honest, I do this for a living, and sometimes it's a struggle for me. So I think the biggest thing with social media is obviously going to be consistency, but also know that if you really, really dread it, like a ton, you may be not on the right platform. There's so many different ones. I'm not going to go through all of them. I specifically focus on Instagram. That's where most of my expertise is going to come from. I do work a little bit with Facebook and a few of the other ones. But Instagram is really how I've grown my business. People ask, like, you know, how do you grow your business? And I'm like, Jesus and Instagram, and in that order. And it's all that, and it's that and referrals. So I want to talk a little bit about just content planning, how to use hashtags. I want to go over a little bit of basics for just a short while, and then I want to open it up for questions because I know that we all could be at different places. So I want to go over a little bit of basics first and then do some questions. So I've got a little, I don't even know, this is me not being super familiar with Zoom, but I do have a PDF that has a little bit of what we're going to go over. So yeah, that's the first point on there is about content. And this is something that's really helped me, is choosing 5 categories to stick with on your Instagram. So when you sit down to post, you have a list of 5 things that you know that you want to talk about. And that makes planning so much easier. But it also makes your brand voice a lot louder. So when people are scrolling through your feed, there's so many things that we can talk about, but you want, when someone sees your post, you want them to recognize that it is you who's talking. And if you're sticking with certain categories, it's going to be a lot easier for them to recognize what you're doing. So as an example, for my personal Instagram, my categories are work. So that would be like a logo or a website or social media post, and then, or painting. So I love to do art. So those are two categories. And then the last 3 are a blog post, lifestyle, and quotes. So those are really what I stick to on my feed. And if you kind of scroll through it, you kind of get an idea of what it is you're going to be seeing if you choose to follow the account. And so that's a great thing too. So when someone comes to your Instagram and they see your dog, and then they see your dinner from the night, and then they see maybe a picture of you and your friend, and then maybe they see a random quote that maybe was screenshotted, it's kind of blurry. There's all kinds of things all over the place. It's a little confusing. Like, it's really hard to just kind of scroll through and kind of know what you're about quickly. So when you stick to categories, one, it makes content planning a lot simpler. And then it makes it easier for people to see what it is that you're about, so they can decide whether or not they want to follow you. And the next thing is networking online. And this has been like a huge blessing. So if you are trying to grow your following and get either sales, like if you're trying to sell the book to someone, this is going to be the key in that, especially growing your following. So if you hear nothing I say except for this is what you're going to want to hear. So I generally will go in each day and I'll find 5 new people to interact with on social media, not necessarily follow them, but I'm going to find them and I'm going to like, say, 3 or 4 of their pictures. And then I'm going to comment something genuine on one of the photos. So I'm not going to fake it, but if I actually see a picture, maybe the girl's in a dress, I'm going to say, oh, that's a really pretty dress, and like some of her pictures. And then I'm going to move on to another person. Now, the first week I did this, I did between 5 and 10 a day. And at the end of the week, I had 40 new followers. And these are all people who have came back and seen my stuff and followed me after that. And these are new connections that I made just because I was being nice. And I think that's going to be like your first step in networking with people, especially on Instagram. On Facebook, it's very different. Like Facebook, if someone were to add me as a friend or comment on a picture that I didn't know, I would probably think, oh, I wonder who this is, to see if I had any mutual friends, and then ask those friends, do you know who this person is? Like, that's kind of the normal behavior on Facebook. But on Instagram, it's a whole different world. If someone comes and comments on your picture and you don't know them, that's a normal behavior on that platform specifically. So it's a lot easier to make connections. And there's actually a girl I found on Instagram. I found it through a hashtag. So think about like the city that you're in. So I found a girl named Mary Beth on Instagram, and I used the hashtag Columbia, Tennessee. I'm actually in Nashville, and that's like a surrounding city close to me. So I looked up Columbia, Tennessee. I just scrolled through some of the pictures as I saw one of this girl with her kid, and I was like, oh, this is so cute. So I went to that picture, went over to her profile and liked a bunch of her pictures. She's a realtor. She's just seemed really nice. And so I commented something nice. That was just one of those, accounts that I went through that week. And she had come back and she liked a bunch of my pictures and she followed me. And then she started seeing posts of the logos that I've done and websites that I've done. And so she actually reached out and said, hey, like, I need a logo designed and I love your work. Like, we should get coffee. And I was like, okay. So we got coffee and I ended up doing a logo for her. And she actually took the picture when she pulled up, nice picture. She actually took that photo for me. We will meet up at coffee shops, and she's got to have pictures of herself for social media, and I do too, and we can't stand taking pictures like that. So we'll meet up and do it together for like an hour or two. And that's just one of the many connections I've made through Instagram. And I just can't stress enough how important the engagement is. Like, don't necessarily beat yourself up for not posting one day. Don't post if it's not like intentional. Don't be like, oh God, I gotta post today. I gotta post something, and then just throw something out there. Really post when you're planning it out. And if you haven't planned a bunch, just go in and network with people. Go in and either search like your a hashtag by location, or search a hashtag by a brand that you like. Maybe there's a certain type of person that what hashtag they would use. Maybe that's someone you want to connect with. Use that hashtag to find those people to engage with. Don't necessarily follow them unless you really, really like their stuff. Go for it. But I will always start with liking a few pictures and commenting. And then if they reciprocate that, then I'll go back and maybe follow them. Because some people are weirded out by that. And so some people, if they don't reciprocate that and come back and like a couple pictures, I won't go back and follow them, because maybe they don't want to make new friends on social media. And I want to respect that. So obviously I just wait until they reciprocate it, and then I go back and follow them, or comment on a couple more pictures. And then as you follow both of each other and you're interacting on posts, that will just kind of start to build the relationship that way. It's just kind of an icebreaker, basically.
Gail, can I just interrupt just for a second? With our author group, would you recommend that they are very intentional about the networking that they do? I do provide like a list of influencers. Would you think that would be a good place to start, or does it really matter?
Yeah, no, I think the more intentional that you can be, the better. Like with Kathleen Markath, she runs ASL picture books. And so her book is obviously illustrated in American Sign Language. So what I've done is gone through and searched just the hashtag sign language. And there's so many different posts of moms posting pictures of their kids learning sign language for the first time. They're actually like really entertaining videos. I kind of get stuck sometimes watching them for a while. And so I'll go in on her Instagram. So I'll search that, and then I'll like the video, and then I'll comment on it like, great job, like this is awesome, like great job learning sign language. Then I'll go back to the account and I'll like a few of the other pictures that the mom has posted of the child. And then I'll just continue with more of that. And so we've had, like, it's been really exciting. She's been texting me and saying, like, we've had this many sales today. Like, I think it was yesterday, we had 6 sales in one day, which was really exciting. And I don't necessarily know if these are people that I've interacted with, but the more that I do that, the more that it increases. Mm-hmm. So it's really exciting. So the more intentional you can get with who you're interacting with, the better. Like, obviously, I'm not going to go to another logo designer's account and interact with their followers. That would be like, you don't want to try to steal like business from someone else. So there are some things that you don't want to do as far as the engagement goes, but most of the time, if you can search a hashtag on location or something that your book is written about and then engage with people who are already engaging in that hashtag, then the relationship just makes sense. Before I move on to another topic, do you guys have any questions as far as that goes with engagement? I know for some people that is new and it's kind of weird, so I just want to open it up.
So Kimberly's asking, how much time per day do you spend building your social media account?
As far as that engagement goes, I will generally I have to set a timer because it's very easy to get sucked into Instagram. So I'll set like a 15-minute timer, and if my goal is to interact with 5 people, then I will go in and do that. And if I get distracted a little bit and I haven't done the top 5, I don't let myself go any longer because you could sit there for hours. As far as like planning the content though, that's a whole nother nutshell in itself. But coming up with those categories is going to help decrease the amount of time it's going to take. I usually will plan 1 week at a time. I generally don't post on Saturdays and Sundays just because I like to take a break from social media. So that's up to you. So I will plan for 5 days worth of posts. And that generally will take sometimes an hour to 2 hours to plan all that if you're trying to find videos or you're trying to find reviews. And but having it planned out, and then each day if you set like a timer, say like 9 a.m. if you're like a morning person, or maybe in the afternoon, just set a timer that says post on Instagram or post on Facebook. And I'll go over kind of how I plan out the post. But I usually keep the captions in my notes, and I have an app that I use to put the pictures in. So I don't know. I think planning content probably an hour to 2 if I'm planning for the whole week, and then 15 to 20 minutes a day with engagement. So
that doesn't sound unreasonable at all for authors. I mean, that would be, I always think of it as something I dread, and that's going to take me hours and hours a day.
Yeah.
to be able to make progress. So that's good. I'm looking forward to hearing more about that. I do have a question from Laura.
Well, yeah. So basically, I really like my Instagram, but I don't feel like it's cohesive enough in a way that it's just a bunch of pictures that don't tell a story. And I try and look back and I'm like, do I really need this picture? Is it okay? I'm not going to say restart my Instagram, but how do you make it so that, because I am willing to delete some posts, but I don't want to delete ones that are more top engagement. I don't care about the likes, but the engagement is kind of what I want to keep more than anything. But how do you make it more unified?
Yeah. Well, I think,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think so. Moving forward, so there is an app, and let me just show it to y'all.
Where you can switch your pictures around?
Yes. So there's an app that you can upload. You sign into your Instagram on the app, and then you can upload pictures that you're thinking about posting, and it actually shows you what the grid will look like. And that's kind of how people will plan out. Some people do like color shifting, where they'll do 6 blue color photos and then 6 red, and yeah, it's crazy. Like, but I use it just to plan, so I know what photo was supposed to come the next day, because that's kind of hard to remember. It is called Unum. So let me pull this up.
And can you do that with we'll put it in the chat. Can you do that with posts that you already have up and
So it doesn't let you well, it does let you hide them. So you can see what the grid would look like without a photo. So it'll let you like unview a picture. It's got like a little eye with a cross in it. And so you can tap which pictures you would want to see what the grid would look like without. And then you can even just go in and archive those. You don't have to delete them completely. So if you wanted to come back and re-put that on your Instagram, you could unarchive it.
Okay, but what about deleting pictures so it looks more cohesive? Would you say don't do that?
if you archive it, no one else can see it. It's in the archive for only you to see, and then that
I'm not my author is public. My Instagram for author is public. My personal is private though.
Yeah, well, on either you can archive it. It just hides.
Oh.
And then it's not like deleted forever.
Oh, that's good to know. Thank you.
Yeah. So you can do that. So I would use that app. So yeah, Unum is going to be great. I think there is it might be like $5 or $6 a month to see the entire grid. Like it gives you 3 boxes you can put pictures in, and then it's like a monthly subscription. But I don't know. I think I personally am like $6 a month for me to plan my posts is absolutely worth it. And that's a write-off for your business too.
So Andrea's wondering, how do you manage your social media if the books that you're writing have different themes?
That's a pretty detailed question, but I think like if I were to like work on that, if you were a client of mine, it would be more about branding yourself. So more about, posting, you would need to post pictures of yourself in amongst the pictures of different different topics within the book, so that they're knowing you as the author behind those books. If they're different topics, I don't see anything wrong with having multiple topics of books that you wrote, but I would make sure you're going to want some kind of an icon, like a logo you can put in the corner of those pictures so that they recognize it's from you, no matter what type of book it is. And then if you know, let's say you have a book about cookies. I saw one recently, so that's on the top of my brain. So let's say you had all the other books are on cars or something, and the next book is about cookies. I would start researching those hashtags and networking with people who are already interested in baking cookies, and just network with people that for the next book that's about to come out, if that makes sense, so that the people that you're networking with are actually, if they come and follow you, they're going to be interested in the next book that comes out. Does that make sense?
Yes.
As far as being kind of like, you really want to be strategic and just intentional. And I think that when you interact on someone else's page, at first when I started doing this, it felt weird because I was obviously only doing this to grow the business, right? Like, I mean, it was nice, but I knew in the back of my head, like I'm trying to grow clients. Don't think about that so much. Just get on and literally think, who can I encourage today? Like come in with intentionality. You don't want to waste your time, right? You want to be intentional and strategic, but just think, okay, who can I be an encouragement to today? And then just go about it that way with your intentional plan, and don't expect anything in return. Just say it's fine. Even if they don't come back and follow me, like you're just putting that out. I don't want to say good vibes or, you know what I mean, but just think of it in a way you're being intentional with your time and your networking, but you're also just being kind in the process. And that helps kind of speed it up and doesn't feel as weird. So.
And Katie, you had a question also about the hashtags?
I think you're allowed to have 30 hashtags per post. And I've read differing things about whether you should use all 30 or not use them all. And then also just how you recommend best using hashtags also when you post to the stories, the ones that disappear in 24 hours.
Yes.
And if you should do that or not.
Yeah. So, and this could, a lot of it is personal preference, but as far as stories go, I haven't even really used hashtags in stories that much. I do use them in the posts though. And I'm going to actually copy and paste how I pick which ones I use in the posts. And I think stories, it would be cool if you used a hashtag. Like if I was at a restaurant, I would use their restaurant hashtag if I was taking a picture of like food or something. But and it just disappears so quickly that I think the strategy is almost, I don't want to say it's a waste of time, but if you're not doing all the posting, if you're not posting daily and you're not putting different hashtags in those posts every single day, don't even worry about stories yet. Like, I think it's great that you're already thinking about using hashtags in stories, but since they disappear in 24 hours, it's kind of hard to strategize that. But I'm going to send a little, so this is how I choose hashtags on a post. And this is really important. So this has been really great. And Kathleen said she didn't care if I showed how this has helped on her page. But I've been using different sets of hashtags each time we did a post. And I've been using this. So as far as this goes, like a little bit more detail on that. So this is how many hashtags you can use in the comments. Like you said, 30. So I usually don't do anything in the caption. I always copy and paste them into the comments with like the little dot first. So I'll put like 5 periods, like 1 arrow over third, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then put all the hashtags and copy and paste that like right after I post. So I pick 5 on brand. So I'm using hashtag ASL picture books for her book, as well as hashtag Kathleen Markath, which she told me later. She was like, I saw that you were using my name as a hashtag. She's like, I don't know if I want to use my name. And I was like, well, if someone finds the book and they want to find the author, they may search your name. And if your name isn't anywhere, like obviously the Instagram is named ASL Picture Books, but if her name isn't anywhere, then it's going to be really hard for them to find her if they're looking for her as the author. So that's a great thing. Always put your name in the hashtags and anything else that relates to the brand. And then as far as like, I put location in there. You really want to put the location that you're wanting to target, and then any brand. So if you are sitting at a computer, use hashtag Apple if you have a Apple computer. But any brands that are in your pictures, or like even clothing, like clothing is great. So you want to think about any other companies that are a part of your post, whether it's just in the picture or it's a part of what you're talking about. Use that in the hashtags. And then 5 about directly what the picture is about, 5 popular, and then 5 niche just means less than 500,000 people have used that hashtag. And you'll see when you're searching the hashtags, it'll show you how many people have used each one. And then I just put 5, the last 5, just, it could be random, anything that you can think of that you want to put. Even if it's a funny thing, you could just put hashtags are stupid, or like some silly thing, and then interact on that hashtag and see what type of other people are posting with that. But I will show you guys how this works. So we had one, and this was a really fun idea. So I was actually looking through hashtag sign language, and I found this really sweet post of this girl right here. And I could probably put this in the chat too. I don't know. Can you see that? I guess it's kind of clear. So she's holding a poster board that says learning sign language can help bridge the gap with a speech delay. And so I guess I didn't actually know this until I looked this up, but it's actually, a lot of people think that a kid with Down syndrome learning sign language is going to delay their speech, but it actually helps, and it helps them learn to communicate, and it makes them want to communicate more. And so I actually found this post, the little girl's mom posted it, and a lot of people had shared it because I saw it like in her tagged pictures. This photo showed up a few different times. So I thought, well, this would be perfect for us to share because it's promoting the message. Like this is all about a book on American Sign Language. So it matches the mission that we're doing. So if I go to, if your Instagram is set up as a business account, you can click on a post and then you can hit view insights. And if I show you these insights on this post, it's pretty incredible. It's backwards. I wonder, it says file.
Oh, we saw it the right way.
Oh, you saw the right, okay, good. Yeah. So you can tell how much I'm on Zoom. But if you look from hashtags, it actually shows 17,000 views just from the hashtags alone. So that's the power of using the correct hashtags. It says 41 people saved the post, 67 sent it to someone, and it got 1,200 likes. And Kathleen has a little over 500 followers, so it's not like she's got 20,000 followers, and this is just this is not a normal interaction. Some of the other posts have maybe 50 likes or 30 likes. And we gained a ton of followers just from that post alone. So really, when you brainstorm your content, you really want to think about what the mission is that you're promoting, or what other communities would rally around what you're doing. And so the reason this post works is because it links arms with a whole nother community that also supports what she's doing too. So when you sit down to plan your post, don't think so much about, I want to sell this book. Think about how many lives you want to impact. After we did this post, I got a voicemail from Kathleen. It literally made me tear up. She had called me, and I'd asked before we started doing social media, I asked, how many books do you want to sell this month? Like, this is how much I charged you this month. How many books do you need to sell to make this actually worth? And so we came up with a number, and she called me the next day after this post, and she was like, I know we talked about the number of book sales, but she's like, it's really the number of lives impacted. And she's like, I just had that mindset shift today, and it's impacted me. And she's like, I have so many ideas sparked, and she was so excited. And it made me so excited because it was the mission. We weren't promoting sales. We're promoting something that matters. And whether it's, okay, let's say the book is about cookies, okay? And you're like, okay, how are cookies going to change any lives? Okay, if I took a thing of homemade cookies to someone's office and just said, hey, I made these for you. My aunt, that's why I thought of it, because my aunt loves to bake. And she will bring cookies to like a local police department or a local fire department. And it's this sweet gesture. And you would like, so I think you have to really think outside the box of what it is that your mission is, or how are you impacting other people, and how can you plan posts to showcase that, and not only showcase what you're doing to impact other people, but what people within that community are doing to impact others. Because when people see that, they're like, oh my gosh, I have to share this. So-and-so has to see this. So-and-so has to see this. And so hashtags are great, but planning that content and then planning the hashtags you're going to use after is going to just make that completely skyrocket. So it's my little.
Great. Thank you for that. Kimberly's wondering, do you post personal things about yourself on your business page, or you just post content that's related to your business?
I definitely think that lifestyle should be one of the categories. And I think that posting about yourself is actually really important, even if it's once a week, a picture, whether it's a picture of you with your kid, or it's a picture of you with your dog saying, you know, this is my fluffy coworker. I put that on my Instagram. And a few people are like, oh, I didn't know you had a dog, you know, that kind of thing. You really want people to be able to get to know you. When you interact with a brand, if you can put a face to the name of the brand, you are so much more likely to engage with them if you just feel like you can know them. I wouldn't, you know, obviously don't want to post a picture of yourself every single day, but once a week would definitely be great. And I think it will increase sales for sure if they can get to know the person behind the brand.
Yeah, because there's that know, like, and trust factor, right?
Yeah.
That's what we're trying to build with our
Yeah.
followers. So having that personal connection, I think, goes a long way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm going to also put in the chat, I forgot that we could do the chat. I have this all saved. So I've actually got, for those of you that are like diligent note takers, which I am that person, if I get on a training, I'm sitting there trying to, like, I'll record it on my iPad and take notes. It's a bit crazy. But I have written blog posts on all of these. It even goes into like Facebook pages too. So I've got them labeled. So there's content planning, how to network, if that was a little confusing as far as like how to find those people. Definitely, you don't need to go through people's followers. That's how I did in the beginning. I would just find a friend and go through who was following them. And that takes forever, because if you do it that way, sometimes you'll find accounts that haven't posted anything in 3 years. You don't really need to interact with those people. They're probably not going to see it. So if you use hashtags, you always know that those people are on. So that's all in there. And then hashtags and highlights is all in there too. So I hope that helps as well. I think the only other thing we didn't go over was the highlights. And I'm wondering if you guys have any questions on that. Like, a lot of people call them the little circle buttons that show up in your bio that you can click and look through. Have you guys, any of you set those up or felt pretty confident about the highlights section?
I've muddled through it, but it wasn't very intentional.
I've set up a few.
Yeah. Well, and they're really fun. I think what's cool about them is that anything you put in your story is going to stay in that highlight forever. So I'll show you one cool way to tell your story. So I saw this on a friend's account, and so I was like, I'm going to do this when I first started my Instagram, or first started my business. So I have one that just says my story. And at the time, I did not want to get on there and take a video. Usually I don't want to go on there and take a video. So I actually made, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Canva. You can make Instagram story size templates in Canva, and then you can upload it to your story. So I used Canva to actually tell the whole story of like how I started my business, and like put pictures, put some people's names I worked with, some examples of different work that I did. And so which I need to redo it says 85 weeks ago. But this is a great thing. A lot of people, when I first started connecting with them, they were like, I saw the story thing and highlights. That was so cool. How'd you make that? Like, I didn't know about this. I didn't know you worked with this person. And so we did that for Kathleen. She actually went on Fiverr and she hired someone to record an audio commercial for her book. And we put it in the highlights. So I put our book right here. So if someone clicks this one, I set my phone up. I had it in a little clip, and I have the book underneath the phone, and I'm just flipping through pages in the book, and then I put the audio over that. So if they click the highlight, it literally plays the audio commercial.
Illustrated in American Sign Language. Available on Amazon. Dylan loves his big, shiny purple.
Which is pretty cool, because if they're interested in the book, they just have to click that highlight and they get the audio all about it. It's very short. They can see some of the pages. And she was so excited when I posted that. She had a couple people message her and go, congratulations, this is so fun. Like, this is so cool. So you don't, like, if you're not comfortable posting pictures of yourself or getting on camera, I encourage that for sure. But if you're not comfortable with that yet, there are so many different ways that you can get creative to share the book, because when someone is scrolling through stories, if they see that, they're going to stop and go, oh, wow, this is so cool. Like, so I think as far as doing your highlights goes, like, definitely have one about your story. And if you can't think of, what to put in those highlights, put whatever the categories. When you set up what categories you want to stick with, use those categories as what you should do for your, 5 different highlights. And then start there. So,
can I ask a couple of questions?
Yeah, go ahead, Ruth.
What's the advantage of having a business Instagram?
The insights. So the insights that I saw on Kathleen's post about the hashtags and the saves, if we hadn't converted her account to a business account, we would never be able to see any of that. We would just know it did really well. We wouldn't know why. We wouldn't know we wouldn't know what happened in the post. And you don't have to connect it to a Facebook page. I know back a couple years ago when you converted it over to a business Instagram, you had to have a Facebook page to link it to, and you actually don't anymore. You can set it up without linking it. So, and it takes about 5 minutes. And then being able to go back and see how your hashtags did is really beneficial, because sometimes if the set didn't do very good, if it's got like 30 views, then okay, I need to try some different hashtags. So that's going to help as far as your planning goes, definitely.
And do you have to change your name or anything? You can just convert it over?
Yeah, you can just convert it over. It'll ask if you want the title to be listed in your bio. Like, they'll have titles like entrepreneur or business owner, and you can actually just put you don't want the title in it.
So would you put like the title author or children's books or?
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely put author and I don't know all the titles that are listed there. I don't think we even have a title on Kathleen's. It's just her name. Like, the actual Instagram is ASL Picture Books, but the name in the bio, that like first thing that comes up, just says Kathleen Marquez. And I think that just helps people understand, like, obviously the author is posting all of this, but it's still like the brand. She's not necessarily posting too many personal things. And so you can do that for sure.
Okay. And then my next question, did I forget it? You said those little circles. Well, I'm looking at mine and I don't see anything in my little circles. Do I have to set that up?
Yeah, so the little plus, that little circle with the plus,
Yeah.
if you click that, it's actually going to allow you to pick different things that you've posted to your story that you can put in the highlight. So that's the key. So whatever you want to put in a highlight has to have already been posted on your Instagram story.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so what were the titles that you used for, did you title those?
Yeah, so for hers, I have like a resources tab, which just talks about different things you can use for sign language. We have an author tab, which I just went in Canva and I pulled up the Instagram story template and I put the bio of her, like from the back of her book. I just put that bio and I put her picture. And I used like obviously her branded colors is this purple. So I used the purple on all of these little icons as well.
Ah, that's really cool.
Yeah. So like when you create the highlight, it's not going to show an icon like that. But when you get done, you can actually click it says more in the corner. I feel like this
Okay. Yeah.
Sorry if this is blurry. If you click more and then you hit edit highlight, you can hit edit cover and you can actually upload an image as the cover. And Canva has, if you create like just a square, like the Instagram size template, and you just make the background a color, you can go over to the elements section and you can search anything, and they have all those little icons are already made for you. So it's not like you just have to pick whichever one you like. And then if you set it in the middle of that little square box and you save it as a PNG file and it's on your phone, when you go into more and hit edit highlight, it'll actually let you select the photo from your phone. And then it just uploads the little icon for it. So.
Okay, guess I'm gonna have to rewatch this. So that's all in Canva.
Yeah, it's all in Canva.
Overload. Go ahead,
Yeah.
sorry.
And if like obviously, doing the covers is not necessarily that important. I am super OCD and I like to be creative and I do graphics and all that. So that kind of comes natural, but at least just post some stuff in your story that you want in the highlights and then create the highlights. Just have something, your story about the book, even like a behind the scenes. You could hop in stories and, if you're with a friend, like let's say you're with a friend who either helped write the book or maybe someone who illustrated it. You guys got coffee. You guys hopped in stories and just said, hey, I just want to introduce you guys to who illustrated the book. That kind of stuff is so interesting. And once you put it in stories, when you go over that plus, you can check those to be the one, and they will always stay in highlights. And I think
that has to be in business.
No, you can do that in person.
Oh, in regular, okay.
Yeah. The highlights are in personal or business, so you can actually do that before you convert it over. Yeah, I think giveaways are amazing. Giveaways are a great way to build engagement. Another way to take that up another notch is find 2 other people that are trying to grow their following as well and do the giveaway together. So say, just hop on and say, hey, we're so excited. We're doing a giveaway. We're partnering with, and then put at this person. We're giving away this, and this. This retails for this much money, to get in the giveaway. Like and comment on the post, follow these 3 people. Always say you'll be checking. Some people don't check, but always say we're going to check if you follow each of these accounts, and then announce what day you do the giveaway. And that, I think it's a huge way. There's literally accounts that you can be a part of. I have another client who does this. I'm trying to think of the name of the account. I can't think of it off the top of my head, but they specifically host giveaways that you can pay to be a part of. So like I did this once. I paid, I think it was $20, and I got in on the list of all the people that were a part of this giveaway. And so these girls will collect, 10 people will send in $20. They have $200, and they'll say, we're giving away a pair of Hunter boots or a KitchenAid mixer or something like that. And then they post about it on their account. It's got like 50,000 followers or 100,000 followers. And then each of the people within that's doing the giveaway will post about it. And then everyone gets in on it, and you get like 100 or 200 followers for paying to be a part of those giveaways. And so, yeah, giveaways are a huge boost on engagement.
That's interesting.
Like the more people you can team up with doing a giveaway, the better it will do. But I wouldn't do more than 10, because if they see a giveaway, unless it's a really, really good ticket item, are not going to go and follow 10 people to be a part of it. You know what I mean? Like if it was like, oh, we're giving away this brand new, Nissan Z car and you have to follow 10 people. Yeah. If it was like 5 books and you have to follow 10 people, they may not. So you got to be strategic about who you pick to do it. But that's a great way to grow engagement for sure.
What are some of the good giveaways like that will entice people?
Well, it really depends on your audience. You definitely want to know your audience, what they're into. And you want to do tests too. So like this is another fun thing in stories is to do polls. So I don't know if you guys are familiar with, you like, it'll say, you know, would you rather eat mac and cheese or salad? And you can pick which one in story. So do some polls to figure out what your audience is interested in before you do a giveaway. You know, say, if you got this book for free, would you rather have this book or this book? You know, or if you know, in the morning, do you drink coffee or tea? Just do random polls, but think about, like, before the giveaway, think about what kind of polls you want to do. And then from those responses, if you're going to do the giveaway on whatever the response you got more of. You know what I mean? I do that with my blog posts. I'm like, I have so many ideas throughout the week of things I want to write about. Like, middle of a project, I'm like, oh, this would be good. But I just write them down and I just slide it over, you know? And at the end of the week, my best friend and I went and got coffee. And so I did a this or that Instagram story thing. And so I said, okay, would you rather read a blog post on growing on Instagram, like Instagram growth hacks or Pinterest strategy? Well, it was 96% Instagram growth hacks and like 4% Pinterest. So I was like, okay, I'm not really going to write the Pinterest one yet because they don't really care. If you guys are doing blogs or doing giveaways, use the polls in your Instagram stories for sure, because they'll tell you exactly what they want to see. Like,
Abigail, I had a question too with regard to, I know that you can go to like Creator on Facebook, and it allows you to plan and to schedule posts on Facebook and Instagram. Do you use that? Is it, you know, is that different than the app you use? Does it give you everything that the other does?
Well, so the app that I use is actually, it doesn't post it for you. It just lets you see the post, which there is an app called Later that you can use to schedule posts. But I'm just kind of old school, and I just like to post it during the time because I like to put the hashtags in the comments and not in the caption. So if I'm scheduling out a post, I would be forced to put the hashtags in the caption, and I just feel like it looks kind of spammy. So I would rather just set a timer, plan all my stuff and set a timer and just post the moment, which that works for some, and on Facebook, you can definitely do that. You could schedule stuff out on Facebook, but on Instagram, if you start with Instagram and you have it connected to your Facebook page and you come up with a post, you can just turn on the little switch and it'll throw it over on Facebook as well, like at the same time. So I just do that, which again, that's personal preference too.
Abigail?
Yeah.
If some of the people who their books are already done, like Kathleen's and published, but what if your book isn't done yet? How do you reach out to influencers? What do you say? I mean, it's not finished.
I think honestly, you are in the perfect position because I wouldn't even reach out about the book yet. I would take that list of influencers and comment on their pictures, comment on how much you like their dog or how much you like their hair or their outfit, and just show them that you are there and you are thankful that they're following you. Just interact with them, just start building that relationship, and just do a good job coming up with fun behind the scenes things you can share about the book. And as you're interacting with them and you're building that relationship, you're not asking for anything, you're just simply being sweet and you're just being kind. When the book comes out and then you go to them, you'll have built up that rapport with them, like prior.
Can you talk about the book if you know what it is? Can you talk about what you're going to publish, or should you wait until it's done?
You could. I don't necessarily know as much about working with bloggers and influencers, but if you don't have the product yet to give them, I would just interact with them. Just be sweet and comment on their stuff. Another way to build that relationship, especially with them, is in stories. At the bottom, like if you're watching someone's story, it'll say send a message. So this girl I've been wanting to connect with for a while had posted a story a couple hours ago and said something about a plant being controversial. And I was so confused. So I literally just sent her a message. I was like, I've never heard of this plant being controversial. What does that mean? And then she responded back, but it's a private message with that person. So if you can get in stories and find a reason to connect with that person in stories, you're now private messaging just them. It's not even just in the comments. And so when they respond, then you respond and just kind of continue that conversation to build the relationship. But starting with stories is a great way to start building the relationship.
Thank you.
And Pat, I would also comment that there are going to be people that are following you and that are going to be so excited to hear what you're doing. You're getting ready to release your first book. You're going to have sneak peeks of things. You could also be posting things about the period that your story is set in, right? You've got some photos from back then that really can get people intrigued and also rooting for you and wanting to be a part and just build up that anticipation that the book is going to be coming.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, and Abigail, wouldn't she be able to set up some of those stories, right?
Oh,
The story highlights, like she could do an author one. She could do like right? Like what's the book looking like?
Because if she's already if you interact with different people on Instagram, they're gonna be like, wait, who is this? And then they're gonna go to your page. And if all those highlights are already set up, they're already gonna be curious about who you are and what you do, and then they're gonna learn about the book on their own. And it almost feels less like, hey, I just got this message about this person's stuff. You know, we all get messages of people trying to sell us stuff, and it's kind of like you may be interested and you may not be, but if it's already set up and you're just being kind and they find it themselves and they're interested, they discovered on their own. And I think that is priceless, honestly.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, can I ask a question about, I know that you said you mainly do Instagram, but for people that have different social media accounts, do you suggest posting the same thing? Like, I know that sometimes I see something on Facebook that's the exact same thing I saw on Instagram.
Yeah.
And I don't have Pinterest, but probably it's there too.
Yeah. Well, I think it just depends on the content. If I were to post like a logo design, I'm going to post it on Instagram, probably in a square. I'm definitely going to post it on Pinterest, but I'm going to post it in a different size, right? Now, I don't necessarily use Twitter that much. Twitter is more geared on wording, less on imagery. Imagery is mainly Instagram. So if I were posting about the logo on Twitter, I'd probably change the content up a bit and just talk about the story or talk about working with that person. Or if that person that I did the logo for posted it and they were excited, I'm just going to retweet it. So you kind of want to think about how it's being received on different platforms. Like all of them are different. So you want to be creative. You can post the same thing. You kind of just want to post it in a different way, because people are going to go, why am I following them on Twitter if I'm seeing the same thing on Instagram and the same thing on LinkedIn and TikTok and like Pinterest, all the things, you know? So just think about the different ways you can share it. And also, like, I'm not on every single platform. I thought, like, a couple days ago, I was thinking about how, I think they all should be set up for your brand, like, even if you're not posting. So, like, if you have, like, YouTube or Twitter, like, and you don't use those necessarily, make sure that they have links to your Instagram and your website, at least. And, like, either your logo or the profile picture is your photo, at least, so that the people that are on that, if they find you, they're like, oh, there's no posts here. Maybe they're going to click to your Instagram. They're like, oh, this is where she hangs out. Like, so I'll follow her here. So at least have them set up so they know where to find you. But until you're really confident in posting on Instagram and Facebook or whatever one you're comfortable on, until you're consistent there, I wouldn't really venture out somewhere else, because then you've got, you don't want to do like a crappy job on all of them. And like, it would be better to do a really, really good job on one platform than to it just looks kind of but you're on everything. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Another person to follow that's really, really good is, her name's Rachel Hollis. And she's done social media for like Disney and all these huge different people. She has like 1.7 million followers, and she's an author, and I've had a couple of her books. So her posts are going to be I would definitely follow her for.
How do you spell the last name, or can you share the?
Yeah, here, I'll type in her Instagram.
That would be wonderful.
Miss Rachel Hollis. she's great. She also has a podcast, so I would listen to that. And especially because she's been promoting a book. I listened to a podcast she did on, let me type this in. So if you look up Business Made Simple, and then you listen to the episode with Rachel Hollis, that one gave me so many ideas. And she specifically talked about how she got on her social media and she was just being a resource for her audience. And she didn't ask for anything. She didn't ask for emails, nothing, for like a year. And when her book finally came out, her community was so excited and rallied around her because she had given so much to them without any ask whatsoever. So they were so willing to purchase the book after everything she did. She was like, I didn't just post, like, if I posted a picture of myself, I didn't just post a picture of me in my outfit and then just like, oh, happy Tuesday or whatever. She said, I would post, here's 3 different ways to style black skinny jeans, or here's 3 different ways to do a messy bun, or she would make her post so that it actually adds value to who's looking at it. It's not just a, hey, look at me post. And because she added so much value, they were all like, I think she's been on the New York Times bestseller list twice now. So she's definitely a person to follow for sure.
Abigail, I also, when we talked about that post that you shared for Kathleen, I struggle sometimes coming up with things. So if you don't know what to post, it seems to me that if you can find impactful things like that, that you know that your audience, your perfect readers will really resonate with, that seems like it's a good opportunity for you to repost that somebody else's and also connect with the individual who actually took that post in the first place.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So would you limit, how often you do that, or is there, any tips you have for regarding finding and reposting other people's things, or any guidelines that you could offer?
Yeah, I would say like once or twice a week. You definitely don't want to forget about, what you're doing and promoting yourself as well. Obviously, posts that are popular, like that one was very popular. Like, we wouldn't want to do that every single week. It's exciting to see that growth and see the more followers. But if your followers are scrolling through and they're only seeing things other people have done, they're going to start to forget about what you're doing. So I would say definitely 1 to 2 a week. If you can do 2 a week, it would be amazing.
So yeah, I was going to piggyback off of that. I was kind of thinking the same thing as April. Like, do you have any recommendations for finding that right happy balance of original content to sharing? Because I feel like I really struggle with that I always feel the pressure to create original content, but then I see other people that almost everything seems to be a reshare. So do you have any tips for finding that happy balance?
Yeah, I think the categories are going to help you a ton too. And also taking pictures. So I bought Kathleen's book. I actually have it right here. I was so excited when I got it in the mail. I actually got the book, and I'm going to show you a creative way to take pictures. I actually have these right here. So I got some white poster board, just blank white poster board, and I set the book on the white poster board, and I took some pictures of it and just kind of lightened it a little bit in Lightroom. And I took a bunch of pictures. Like, I took a picture of the book. I took a picture of, she's got some really cool, she's got some about like the illustrators and some about her. So I took different photos within the book. And that way I had a ton of content to post. So once it's all planned, like, you sit down for like an hour, take some pictures of your book, and then plan your content so that you actually have original photos. So you're not doing it in the moment, because that's so overwhelming. Like, to think, oh my gosh, I didn't post today. Well, I got to post something. Like, that's the most stressful feeling ever. So definitely sit down and like schedule either like a coffee meeting with a friend and get all dolled up. Or, well, I guess there are some men here too. You don't have to get dolled up. You could go somewhere else other than a coffee shop. But look presentable, right? Look professional or dolled up, however you see fit. Find someone else to go, set an hour to 2 hours, take pictures of, take 2 outfits, get some pictures done, and sit down for an hour, take some pictures of the book, and go on Canva, create some quotes that match your branding, and intertwine pictures of you, pictures of the book, quotes, and other people's stuff that really aligns with your mission. And if you just kind of keep doing all of that, and you just kind of keep going, and you're engaging with other people on Instagram, like everything will just kind of start to flow, and you'll kind of start to get in this rhythm, and you'll start to recognize posts. You'll go, that totally matches with my category. I need to take a picture. Like, and it'll just start to come a lot more natural. But I think having those categories is definitely going to be the place to start.
That's really helpful, because as much as I try to think about like branding and everything, I hadn't really thought about it in the sense of like 5 categories. So that's kind of gonna just help me really prioritize. So thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. I hope that helps.
Do you also recommend content calendars? I know there's a lot of them out there that kind of give you ideas of and prompts for things that you can post during certain days of the month.
Yeah, I think those are great. That's a great brainstorming tool when you sit down to content plan too. Even there's calendars that tell you like what every single day of the month is, and those are fun to look over at the beginning of the month before you're planning out your post. Even I literally only do weekly because it overwhelms me to post months and months out. Plus, if you're during the week, sometimes posts change. So if you sit down that week, either look at a content calendar or look at a calendar that says what each day is. There may be days that align with what you're doing. I'm pretty sure there's like a national deaf awareness month or sign language. I think it's in September or something. Kathleen and I were talking about that. And so knowing when that is prior to planning content is going to be so valuable, because so many people are going to be posting during that time. So yeah, I would definitely utilize content calendars. Don't necessarily get too caught up I'm going to sit down and I'm going to plan the entire months, all my posts, and I'm going to find all the hashtags. Consistency is everything. So you're the tortoise, not the hare. Be the tortoise. Sit down for an hour and say, even if I plan 3 post ideas, that's it. It's fine. Just give yourself grace. And just plan a week at a time. And if you get the week done and you feel like you want to do another one, go for it. But don't put too much pressure on yourself to really over plan, because then you'll plan it all and then you'll be like, oh my gosh, it's been a week and I planned all this stuff and I never posted any of it.
Right.
What makes a post popular? Is it the followings? Is it because you said that to look for the popular things. So is it the followings? Is it the likes? Is it the content? What actually do you look for?
Well, so it depends on how much engagement is happening when you first post it. So if I were to post something now, it's 8. So most of my followers, I know if I go through my insights, I know most of my people are not on this late. So I'm not going to post this late. But if I were to post and no one comments, it's not really going to go anywhere. But it's those first few people that comment on the post. So Facebook and Instagram are set the exact same way. If 2 or 3 people comment on it right when it's posted, that algorithm decides to show it to more people. And then more people comment, it decides to show it to more. That's why if you upload a new profile picture, it's going to get the most likes on Facebook of anything else you post. Because for one, they all followed you or they're all friends with you because they want to see you. And as soon as you post that, a bunch of people go, oh, you look so gorgeous, or wow, you look so cool. This is awesome. Where are you at in this picture? So the engagement is key. So even getting into an engagement group or getting in a group message with some friends, 5 to 6 friends, and saying, hey, we're all going to comment on each other's posts when they go out, and going in there and Kathleen's a part of that too, an engagement group where they say posted every time they post. And then everyone agrees to go back and comment on those posts. And that is very, very beneficial.
So do you set that up on your Instagram, the people that are in your engagement group?
Yeah, so you set up a group message. But you can't it's weird because Instagram has changed the rules to that. So when they message posted, they usually put a P and then they put a bunch of emojis and then a D at the end. That just means that means posted. But if you're sharing the post and Instagram catches that, they'll completely shut you down. So you want to be careful with the engagement groups. But if you're being, if you're following the rules and you're not necessarily saying posted every time, you're just putting emojis, and you're going in and commenting, then that helps a ton with growing putting a link in your caption. In Instagram, no one can click the link in the caption. So like that is awful. If you just put like, click the link in my bio, that's fine. Or links in bio, that's fine. But if you put a link in the caption, it's just gonna look like a bunch of random letters.
Can I ask something?
Sure, go ahead.
Do you have experience in use Kickstarter as well?
I haven't ever used Kickstarter, no.
Okay. I was just curious because it seems very similar in terms of like the social media, marketing aspect and what you're putting out there and how you say it, and those kinds of things. So, and I hate both social media and anything like that.
Yeah.
So I was just curious because I'm looking for some help with that and bringing somebody on board to do that. So, but thank you.
Sure.
Abigail, I have a question.
Okay.
I'm curious about your services. Like, do you provide, is it certain tiered services that you give, like, or is it all encompassing, like you just buy one big package? How does?
It just depends. So as far as like, and I have like a pricing sheet that I send to clients if they're interested in different things. But like for logos, I have 3 different packages. For web design, I have 3 different packages. And for social media, it basically is either I do a brainstorming like consulting call, or I can do 3 posts a week or 5 posts a week. And so those 2 prices are a little bit higher, a lot higher than the consulting. But I love both. I really don't mind. I love doing the consulting calls as well as the posting. So I usually, if someone's interested, I usually just send them the link so they can see the difference. And then we just talk through what their needs are and kind of go from there.
So does that also include, like, if somebody wanted you to set up their whole profile and like the highlights and all that kind of stuff, is that stuff that you do separate or?
No, I always include that. So with the either 3 days a week or 5 days a week, I always set up all the highlights, I set up the bio, make sure that it makes sense so that what you're doing is really clear and what you're offering is really clear, but it's also not, it doesn't look like spam because there's so much of that on Instagram and Facebook. But yeah, I always set up all the highlights and I do the little icons because that doesn't take me super long. But yeah.
So how do we get a hold of you or be able to find the information out?
Yeah, so my website is in the chat. It's just create and
Okay, so on that.
Yeah, that's perfect. And then there's a button in there that says book now. You can fill out just like your name and email and phone and stuff and kind of what you're interested in. And then whenever I get that email, I usually will send back the pricing sheet. That way you can see all of that. Yeah, check out those blog posts too, because those have super like way more details than we went over. So I hope those help as well. I try to blog anything that comes up where I have clients who have questions about different things. I try to put it on the blog. That way I'm sure there's other people that have the same questions. So if you have any other random things, I definitely need to do a how-to video on how to make the highlights for sure. That was helpful.
So, yeah, that would be awesome.